NTV, turning on your world.
A very good morning to you. It's good to see you right here on Your World. My name is Winnie Lubembe, and today is Wellness Wednesday. And as per usual, on Wednesday, we talk about anything and everything wellness, from our health to our general well-being. And today's conversation touches each and every person ours, all right? We have brothers, we have sisters, we have our kids in universities. So we want to talk about drugs and substance abuse or use, and we'll be focusing on the status among campus students. And this follows a report that was released by NACADA just recently, and very alarming report, if you ask me. So the biggest question is, what exactly is happening in our campus, and how do these drugs and substances find their way into the campus, all right? And even just recently, the Interior Cabinet Secretary, that is Kipchumba Murkomen, actually described drug abuse as the greatest threat to Kenya's well-being, and he acknowledged that the university staff actually contribute to the drug problem, and that is actually in the report in itself as well. So what exactly is happening in our campus, and how do we deal with this menace? You want to stick around until the end of the show, but as per usual, you are part of the conversation as well. So reach out to us on our socials, and that is at NTV Kenya, both on Facebook and on X, and tag me as well at Lubembe_Winnie. But at the same time, if you want to get your message across very fast, use our WhatsApp number, that is 0112 500 400, and we'll also go through your feedback, your comment, or either if you have a story to share as well. And on that note, we also have a very important question for you this morning, and that is, what is one common myth about drugs or alcohol use that you have encountered, and what is the reality behind it? Once again, what is one common myth about drugs or alcohol use that you have encountered, and what is the reality behind it? Okay, so what is it that you were told or you thought about, and what is it that you have realized right about now? And once again, how to reach us is on our socials, and that is at NTV Kenya, both on Facebook and on X, and tag me as well at Lubembe_Winnie. Don't forget our WhatsApp number, 0112 500 400. So we're coming to you from ZTech University, Ruiru campus. We also have some of the students in our audience as well, so that we really get to understand what exactly is happening in our universities and even colleges, really. But we are in ZTech University today. So I'm going to introduce my guest, and also go through the numbers, because we have the data here. The report is here, and let me tell you. Okay. But to introduce my guest for the day, we have Professor John Muteti, who's the Director, Research from NACADA. Good to have you, Prof, this morning. How are you doing? Your mic, you have misplaced your mic.
Thank you.
Good to see you, Professor John. We also have Nkatha Mwenda, who's a recovery coach and chairperson, Graceful Youth Recovery Center. Good to see you.
Yeah, good to see you.
Thank you so much for making the time. And we also have Diego Kuriandai, who's a facilitator, JPL, but once was a university student, but then you had to drop out. And you're finding your way back now?
I will.
You will, absolutely. But thank you so much for coming by today and also sharing your story. So before I get to you guys and get to understand really the grave of the situation in campuses, let's go through some of the numbers, okay? And according to the report, we're going to start with the percentage, and this is the number of students who have reported having used at least one drug in their lifetime. And guess the number, they are at 45.6%. So that's nearly half of the students reported to having used at least one drug in their lifetime. Then the most used drugs and substance, alcohol, came in first at 40.5%, cigarettes at 13.4%, shisha at 10.9%. This was banned, but somehow it's finding itself back. Vapes at 8.5%, and nicotine pouches at 4.6%. Now, which ones are the most accessible? So alcohol still comes in first at 87.3%. Cigarettes at 64.4%, shisha at 41.2%, vape or e-cigarettes at 31%, and nicotine pouches at 30.7%. So thing about cannabis is it's the most prevalent at 61.7%. Now, the sources of these drugs, you ask, well, Friends account for 66.4%. Canteens and bars are nearby at 59.3%. From fellow students at 56%. And online purchases at 39.4%. And we'll also really focus on the online and canteens in just a second. Now, what are some of the major risk factors for drug and substance use, you ask? Well, it includes having an influencer, such as a girlfriend or a boyfriend or a role model who's using, inability to cope with stress or stressful situations, unresolved trauma. For example, we're talking about childhood development violence, gender-based violence or bereavement, and not being actively involved in religious groups, and at the same time, involvement in gambling and or betting. Now, we talked about university staff or students actually being, some of the reasons or how the students get access to it. And it's at 18% of drug access in Kenyan universities is linked to university staff, both teaching and non-teaching. Prof, I'm just going to start with you. Hey, I'm reading through it and I'm like, what is happening? What informed, first of all, this study, and what is it that you found even more intriguing? Forgetting even the statistics that we just read, what shocked you the most?
Thank you.
Do you want to speak closer to your mic? Yes.
Thank you. Actually, now that we have the students here, they should really tell us what is happening, really. But one of the reasons we undertook this research is because we found there was a problem, even in the primary schools. We go to the primary schools and we find that they are smoking, they are taking alcohol, and we're asking them, where are you getting them from? They are getting them from their parents. When their parents are smoking, they leave the cigarette stub there. The pupils take, they smoke. The parents are using alcohol in their homes. The kids take a sip and so on. The parents go out with their kids to the pubs and so on.
Yes.
They take a sip. They start getting hooked. We also carried a study at the secondary schools and found that the problem is even becoming worse. So the next logical question was, these students, once they leave the secondary schools, what happens? They go to the universities and other, institutions of mid-level colleges and higher learning. So we thought that maybe we would want to know what is happening in the universities, and therefore we now carried out this research, and the results were very shocking. Actually, one of the most shocking results was that cannabis, bang, is heavily used in the universities. When we did the general population survey, the national survey, we found that about 1.9%, that is maybe 2% of the general population are using cannabis. But then, when we came to the universities, we found that 10% of the students are using. That means that 5 times more than the general population, bang is being smoked in the universities, which was very shocking.
Nkatha, again, going through the study, we were talking about this earlier on, and you said, let me tell you, this study is spot on. What is it that has shocked you the most, and what do you make really of these numbers? Because numbers do not lie.
What stands out for me is how university students are using, and it comes from influence. I think that's captured so well. Then they imagine drugs, the edibles, like the cannabis he's talking about. But I like the fact that the report also highlights the underlying issues. There's quite a number of things that have been highlighted here that are causing the students to want to use the drugs. But influence is something that is very clear. Influence from an influential boyfriend. We are living in a country where there's a lot of advertising online and offline and everywhere, with these drugs being glamorized, you know, like you're missing out if you're
Yes.
not using. So that influence factor is really captured well in this report. And I really commend NACADA and all the partners who have come up with this report. And there's a lot to be done. I'm happy we are in a university setting here at ZTech. And the students can also be able to tell us, you know, is influence, is it so easy to be influenced? But there's also the lacing, like the edibles. Some people are going to parties and they don't know that the drink or whatever they are eating has been laced. And peddlers will do anything to get people initiated to drug use, and that's a major concern. What I'm happy about is the awareness that we're having these conversations and seeing the government at the forefront saying, you know what, we need to do something about it. It is alarming, and if we don't take action now, it's going to be worse there in the front.
Absolutely. Diego, you were once in campus. How true is this report? You know how they usually say sometimes, yes, data is good and we see these numbers, but at the same time, ukifika kwa ground, the situation is even far worse than what data shows, right? So from this report and being a student once who was affected by, you know, what we're talking about today, how true are these numbers in terms of the situation kwa ground?
Numbers may be right, but on the ground things are different.
Okay.
They're really, really very different. Because I'm a living proof. I've been there where you are. I've been a student. I dropped off because of drugs. I was doing law. And before that, I was having a sponsorship because I was doing gymnastics. And that's when I joined drugs through a friend. It was like, when you use this, your muscles will be enhanced. You'll have a lot of energy, stamina, whatever. And I was like, yeah, let me try it. I think when I do this, I'll go to the next level. I'll be the next one. From there, things went from good to bad. I lost everything.
Okay.
It came to a time whereby I wouldn't even take a cup of tea. I was shaking like hell. So after going through a lot, talking to a lot of people, I tried to recover. I came back to my senses, but I'd lost everything by then. What I can tell my fellow students, because I'm hoping to join back, there's nothing good in drugs. Nothing good in it.
I see that. And we'll come back to you to really go into details in terms of onset, right? Initiation. When were you, I want to say quote unquote initiated, you know, into drugs? Because again, like the report said, influence. You know, there's someone who actually sort of like influence us in one way or the other. Could be, you know, fellow students, could be friends, could be our partners. So we'll come back to really get to hear more of your story, because you're here today to tell the students, listen,
Let me tell
been
you.
there, done that, it is not good at all.
Let me tell you.
Yeah.
You never know where the devil comes from. You never know who's a good friend or a bad friend until when you're in it.
Yeah.
Because this thing happens like just a joke. There are people who are being used by the peddlers to seduce you, to lure you into the drug abuse and drug whatever. So it's like, first time, I was at the gym where we do practice our routine as usual.
Yeah.
A friend of mine told me, can you do this? I was like, yeah, I can do this. He did it more better than me. I was like, teach me. He told me, no, I can't teach you this. You have to do this so that you... I was like, really? But I can't. My faith doesn't me allow to do such. He was like, no, you try. I refused first day, second day. But I was like, when I do this, it will be better. After asking my coach, he told me, when you try to do drugs, you're off the team.
Okay.
And I refused to do it. But I started doing it, literally slowly by slowly, hiding myself.
Okay.
Are you doing this? No, I'm not doing it. And I saw, yeah, I've been enhanced. I'm performing very well.
Okay. So what exactly does doing it, what was this doing it? You know, you're saying, you know, they told you, before you need to do it, and then you did it, and then when you did it, you saw that doing it was doing it.
There is a drug.
So what exactly was that doing it?
There is a drug which hasn't been mentioned here.
Okay.
That's what I used to take. They're pills. We used to grind them, mix them with some soda sometime. You can inject it, you can sip it, you can do, but you can't just take it like that.
All right.
So when you take it, you just feel like oops. You're high, you're there.
You are in a
whatever you're focusing on, you'll do it better. If it's reading or writing, you'll do it better. If it's running or playing football, you're the best. But at the end of the day, you don't know how it affects you internally.
We'll come back to you to get more, but I just want to open the floor now because, like I said, we have students from Zetech University joining us this morning on this very important conversation because to Kokwa ground, we just want to understand what is exactly is happening Kokwa ground. And like Nkatha asked, what do you feel influenced? Have you ever felt that pressure, of influence? Someone coming to you, like Diego was told, if you want me to help you, you have to do it because when you do it, the doing it will do it, and all those things. So I want to speak to the students. I want to open the floor right about now. How many of you know someone who is using? Because I know if I ask you, do you use? I'm pretty sure 100% there will be no hands. Should we try? Who is using something? I have not said anything. Who is using something? Because the report said, what, 1 in 5, or is it 1 in 4 of the university students?
One substance, nearly 50%.
Yes. Prof, your mic. Yes, 1 in 2. So 1 in 2. So hapa watu wawili wameketi hapa mbele, one of you is using. The two of you, one of you is using. Who amongst us is using? Let's just be honest because it's a very candid conversation.
Data doesn't lie.
Data doesn't lie. Okay, so fine. Who among you know someone who is using something? Okay, because the data is very broad, from either alcohol to cannabis to vape to e-cigarettes. So who amongst us knows someone who is actually using? Let's see by show of hands. I want to ask you to stand and say your name and your family. Okay, all right. The students, Zetech University students, who among you unajua mtu anatumia kitu? Okay, who amongst us?
Are we being honest? I thought this is an honest conversation. I thought it's an honest conversation, so that we are honest. We are not asking.
We're not asking if you're using.
If you are using it, we are asking.
Do you know anyone?
Do you know anybody who is taking alcohol?
Yes.
Do you know somebody who is smoking? Do you know somebody who is taking cannabis?
Yeah.
Surely.
Okay, who amongst us? Who do you know? Okay, all right. So he has his hand up. All right. Anybody else? Who knows someone who's either, taking alcohol, cigarettes? Yeah, I can see another hand over there. All right. And then there's another one over there. Okay. Okay. Now I see. We know students. We can't see those hands vizuri. How many of you have ever felt pressured to either use alcohol or cigarettes or vape? Actually, most of the students, when you talk to them, tell you, vape si cigara. Vape is not, So how many of you have ever been pressured to take any of those alcohol, cigarettes, vape, any of the above? Anyone who's ever been pressured? Okay, there's another hand uko nyuma. Okay, I see that hand. Anybody else? So hakuna mtu shaikuja kunywa akakwambia, Wes, you try this. No? Nyinyi hapana, you guys are lying. You guys are lying.
They can't
It must be the cameras,
Okay. No, as in the cameras are not actually panning to you. I promise. Maybe. They're not. But really, because we need to have this honest conversation so that we really get to understand, go deeper into what exactly is happening. Prof, so we talked about, the most used, most success and all those things. But do you want to just take us through now the actual numbers in terms of how many, of the students who are, say, taking alcohol? Because alcohol is taking the lead in terms of the most used and the most easily accessible.
Now, there are two things to it here.
All right.
There's the ever use. And when we talk of the ever use, we are saying at least one time you did take some alcohol.
All right.
Or you did smoke.
All right.
But there's what we call the current use.
All right.
If you've used at least the past 1 month, we call that current use, meaning that you are an active user, So when you look at the alcohol, for example,
mic closer to you? Yes.
If you look at the alcohol, we will find that at least 18%, let's say 20% of the students are currently using alcohol. That's 1 in every 5 students. Now, this one is, if you compare with the national average, the general population, we find that at least 11.7% of the general population is currently using alcohol.
All right.
So we are, we are actually beyond the national average, meaning most students are taking alcohol as compared to the national average. When you look at other sets, other groups, like the public servants and so on, you know, they are also taking, but not as much as the students are taking. Then we look at the issue to do with the tobacco. 12% are taking tobacco, and the national average is something like 7%.
All right.
Meaning that we are still
Almost
beyond
the double.
Yeah, we are beyond the national average. Still, students are taking more. When we look at the CAT, the MIRA, the Muguka, and so on, then we find that we are doing 10.2% in the universities, as compared to the 4% in the national average.
Right.
Now, the one I said the most shocking is the cannabis. Because for the cannabis, you find that we are nearly doing 10%. You know, 1 in every 10 students, you know, are taking cannabis. But the national average is 1.9%, meaning that, as I said, for every one person out there taking smoking ban in the general population, 5 in the universities are taking ban. So you can see where the challenge is. Yeah.
Okay.
And the numbers don't look very good.
Yeah. Nkatha, and I know... if you ask someone, have you ever used or do you know someone? I know the students will be like shy to say if they've ever used, but if the cameras were off, they would clearly, you know, tell us more. So you work along with young people a lot, right? What is it that is driving them into, you know, drug and substance use and or abuse?
Thank you for that question. And I believe Professor was able to highlight that many people are in environments where, say, a parent or someone they look up to is using.
All right.
And if you have been in such an environment, there's that normalization. So you don't think it's a big deal. Maybe in this conversation on national television, I don't want to talk on behalf of the students, but I think there's a lot of conversations we can have with them, and maybe the school is having it in sessions, and they also have the counseling and guidance and all. But I believe the influence comes from the environment that they are living in,
All right.
and most likely at home. And if it's not home, where they're not, maybe the parents are not using, or the caregivers, in that environment, there must be some kind of influence.
Yeah.
And when you start early, and those are the formative years that also the report has indicated the initiation is 6 years, you know, for cigarettes, 8 years for alcohol, then you will notice that environment has normalized the use. I like the other day they said there cannot be any advertisements 300 meters from schools. They should probably do the same for universities. But you see, with the university students, they're adults.
Yeah.
They can make an informed choice. And with the younger ages, it's more like their brains are still forming. When they see certain imaging from a young age, they kind of are drawn to it. But I think it still should be enforced. We are living in Kenya where on TikTok and other places, there's a lot of that going on. And I really wish the students here would open up. So it is the influence from the environment that we are in.
Yeah.
And if we don't address it, I'm telling you, people are sinking in. Maybe also the conversation is a bit difficult to have because of the stigma and the shame that comes with acknowledging that you use. Maybe some people, like Diego mentioned, he's not the only one who was influenced, or the scenario he has painted, but it came from his environment. But there is that shame of being left out. You feel if you don't join that crowd, then you're not cool enough. So go back. It goes back to your environment, I believe.
The environment.
And that's why it's very important then that you have, you're very focused and know what you really want out of school or out of life, so that you don't go away from what you really are
it's very interesting because we hear that a lot, whether from our parents, from relatives, and even the people that we look up to. They usually say, go to school, uliingia shule peke yako na utatoka peke yako. Focus on your studies, focus on what you brought on what brought you there. But then you get to campus, you get to school, and everything is different. Number one, there's that shock of hey, niko na freedom. I do not have my parents all day long to tell me, no, stop, don't do this, don't do that. There's that freedom, and then there's the influence, the looking cool part. So then how can students just remain focused, yes, but also enjoy being in school without necessarily enjoyment being the drugs part, right? Can we answer that after the break? Because I do not want to rush you, and we also want to hear the rest of your story, Diego, in terms of the doing it, and then the doing it, did it, and then it did not do it, and then
until we get done.
Until we get that. Okay, all right. But also remember the question that we're asking you this morning right here on Your World, and that is, what is one common myth about drugs or alcohol use that you have encountered, and what is the reality behind it? We'll also be going through your feedback after the short break. Do stay with us, but engage with us on our WhatsApp number as well, and that is 0112 500 400. See you after the break.
My name is Eric Kivuba. I am currently the chair of the LSK Nairobi branch. The second edition of the BD Golf Classic is indeed an important event for our members, for all advocates, because it is one of the forums through which we are going to be creating networks and relationships. I would like to really speak to the need for members to show up, for the simple reason that we are now always online meetings, online calls. And as a branch, we are very keen on creating forums through which members can meet physically. Golf is one of those things that provides an avenue for fitness, creating of networks, and building of relationships. This tournament is open to anyone interested in just learning golf. You can sign up for this event by reaching out to the LSK Nairobi branch secretariat. So, learned colleagues, I'd like to take this opportunity to welcome you to a day of fun golf excitement, networking, and building of relationships on the 28th of February 2025 at the Royal Nairobi Golf Club from 6 a.m. in the morning. Karibuni sana, and see you there.
I am valued and always respected. I'm totally supported, and I'm
Kila safari huanza na ndoto. As we celebrate 40 years, our promise is to be with you for life. Tufanikishe zaidi.
Nimeshapata wangu kipenzi cha roho yangu, ndio huyu hapa leo, namtambulisha kwenu.
Uko single, hapana, shampata wangu. Yuko wapi? Uoni, mzuri twaendana. Uko single, hapana, shampata wake. Yuko wapi? Uoni twaendana.
Je, uko single?
Hapana,
uko single?
Skiza na Nation.
Mahali ya kusisimua na yenye mvuto, kutoka mashinani hadi mijini.
Zaidi ya madaktari 200 wameweza kuanza mgomo wao rasmi.
Serikali ya kaunti inaendeleza miundombinu kuhakikisha kuwa maji inapatikana kwa urahisi.
Ni chimbuko la habari zinazokuhusu wewe.
Kupata ID, sisi tulikuwa kama alias ambaye wamekuwa discriminated.
Michebebe is very nutritious, very chlorophyllous, very delicious, but less malicious.
Bila chuku, bila upendeleo. Taarifa halisi na asilia kutoka kwa wananchi kwa ajili ya wananchi.
Ndilo kero la taka ambao umeshuhudiwa katika mji huu wa matunda.
Kama serikali hawajachukua hiyo hatua, sisi wa Orma tutachukua hatua.
NTV Mashinani kila siku ya wiki saa 12:30 jioni hadi saa 1 jioni.
Looking for some mehe faster than you can say spill the tea? Well, I've got you covered.
Con entertainment, you know, we already got the vibe. So I got the beat, my moves ni kwako.
Join us for Chocha where the games are wild. Kiss my dumb, right? Dashagwa, Kindiki, Sakaja.
And of course, kama kuna story inspiring ama ngoma noma, send in, tutakuwakilisha kama kawa kama dawa.
Catch Beats and Buzz
only on NTV, because it's gonna be mad and crazy.
Nakulike mekuma kama tattoo.
For fast relief of strong pain, like headache, toothache, and muscle pain. And I am finally released from pain and ready to be there for those who need me. Try Panadol Extra for fast and effective relief from strong pain.
In the dynamic legal landscape of Kenya, connections are currency. Building strong relationships is vital for success. The Business Daily Legal Minds Golf Classic isn't just a golf tournament. It's a strategic platform where legal minds converge. Imagine your brand associated with this exclusive event, rubbing shoulders with the most influential figures in the legal sector. As a sponsor, you'll gain unparalleled access to a discerning audience, showcasing your support for the legal community and solidifying your position as a trusted partner. Elevate your brand visibility, build lasting relationships, and tee off to success with the Business Daily Legal Minds Golf Classic. Don't miss this opportunity to connect with movers and shakers of Kenya's legal world. To partner or sponsor, call Winnie at 0713-351-695 or email wkahoi@ke.nationmedia.com. Visit our Business Daily Africa website for more information.
Hustle is survival.
When a loved one's lost.
Catch these exciting shows only on Maisha Magic Plus on DSTV channel 163 and GoTV channel 3.
Welcome back. 37 minutes past the hour, and the conversation today is very important. I mean, just like every single day, very important conversations that we really need to have every single day. But today, the focus is on the drugs and substance use or abuse, and we want to look at the status among campus students. And the question that we're asking you today is very, very simple, and that is, what is one common myth about drugs or alcohol use that you have encountered, and what is the reality behind it? I can see a number of you have a lot to say. So we have Esther Hadassah, who says, thank you so much for this. This is killing our children. I wish my daughter can watch this. She's in the University of Embu, and she is just worried. Okay. And then someone else says, on the question says, wow, I like this question. Fallacies about alcohol, that it's a stress remover or reliever. Ukiwa na stress, kunywa pombe. See, that is what they always say. Excuse me. And then continues to say, ukiwa na stress, kunywa pombe, but the truth is that alcohol only makes you forget the problem and then procrastination of the things. Okay, I need to get a bit of water, but Nkatha, over to you in terms of the report.
The reporter. Sorry for that, yeah? Wow. What I've also picked up from this report is they're telling us 1 out of 12 have severe alcohol use disorders, meaning there is addiction in the universities. And so it asks, you have so many questions. You see, like the parent who has said her daughter is in a certain university in Embu, and they are concerned. So we are here with the students. Their parents are concerned. But at times the students are not thinking it's a big deal because maybe there is fun involved at this point in time. But the consequence with casual use, continuous use, is a dependence that will lead to addiction. So I'm happy we're having these conversations, and I can't wait to hear what the students will let us in on. That is it true that you have friends who you know are not in campus anymore, either they dropped out or you know they have gone for treatment. I work in the recovery space, so, and we work with a lot of people who have recovered from alcoholism and other behavioral and substance addictions. And when we talk about treatment centers, the age that is seeking treatment is your 16, 17, 18, 19, 20-year-olds. So this is the university going, the university students, this is the age. And many are coming into these treatment facilities and saying they started using when they were in campus. For him, he's talked about an opioid. He was using this emerging drugs. But majority who are coming into the treatment facilities is because of the alcohol that has been shown to be, in this report, the highest used. So it is alarming, it is a concern. And from where I sit, as a committee member of the International Society of, it's called ISAP, the International Society of Substance Use Professionals, we are saying there is curricula on treatment, there is curricula on prevention, science on treatment. And even as students, you can be able to get that knowledge from these online resources. We have a Kenyan chapter that is very active, and you can join for free so that you can be able to be aware of the harm that these drugs can cause to you, so that if anyone was to come to you and offer you a drug, you can firmly say no, because you know the consequences are not so good. I have a similar story to Diego, and I won't go into it because I'm in recovery. I've been 8 years sober since. But the way he shared his experience, that he said no, but finally ended up saying yes. No one put a gun on either of our heads is a reality. And the more we have these conversations, I believe we can be able to address that elephant in the room.
I mean, and it's true, no one would actually just say yes, knowing this is something that is going to destroy you. But remember, like we said, there's that pressure to feel cool, look cool, and even do better, you know? Diego, like you said, in your case, you want this person, nafanya jizo more better than kunishida, you know, and you wanted to do better. Before we get into your
Let me add just something. We just need to look at the state of Kenya today. How many influencers do we know have passed because of a substance use disorder? Anyone? Do you know anyone?
Yes.
Mnajua watu? Tuongee jameni. Si mnawaona?
Ama HOD yuko around.
Tunaona una tap huko TikTok, unafanya vituko, si ni kweli? And most is under the influence because unapata hiyo courage and the energy because you're under the influence. So we are saying you will have that enjoyment, but that enjoyment is short-lived. Most of these things that people are thinking are antidepressants are actually depressants. And so you will feel good, but then the consequences are dire. So this conversation is very, very important. I've seen people being contributed to now as we speak to go seek treatment. Many celebrities, we can even list them. And we've seen some, unfortunately, they're not here with us today. So we won't preach fear, but we are seeing it in our day-to-day lives. We even know of people in campus who have OD'd. Nyukweli? Nyukweli? Yes, people are ODing and people won't admit that it was actually OD because so many things will come to mind. The security at the campus, you know, who is moving these products, amongst other many questions that come up when we have fatalities in relation to any drugs or substances. So I'm urging us as students to just open up, seek out help in your university, because we've come here before some time back. We know you have a counseling department that is very strong. You have counselors, you have professionals. You can have fun and it can be sober. It doesn't have to revolve substance use. use.
I see that. And in the second hour, we'll actually have the university's counselor also sit here with us as, together with actually one of the student leaders to just help us understand where is the problem and what is it that needs to be done. Because I want to imagine every university, every institution of higher learning, they also have their own policies, right? But I think just as our country, sometimes implementation of this policy is a bit of a problem. And also something else that we'll talk about is the emerging gradual penetration of new psychoactive substances, which we initially thought would never find its way into our homes and in our campuses, but the reality is it is happening. But let's open the floor now. The question that we asked earlier on, if you know anyone who has been affected by any of this, either alcohol or drugs. Oh yes, so please start with your name. And do you have the mic? Yes, you do. Okay, so speak closer to the mic and tell us, who do you know and how were they affected?
So, with my name,
Mm-hmm.
I'm Ok Robert
Mm-hmm.
from Migori County, Zitec University.
Mm-hmm.
So, actually, back in high school, we used to have a friend.
Mm.
Yes, he did well. He passed. He scored grade A and came to Nairobi University. So, after getting to the university, he got involved in drugs. He started taking, consuming alcohol and other drugs. So, at one point, the university had to suspend him.
Mm.
And back there, he was taken to rehabilitation center where he had to stay for some period of time. And as for now, I can see he's recovering because he doesn't take it as before.
All right. Okay, I see that, and thank you, really. Thank you for sharing. So seeing that, how did that sort of like influence you to being who you are today? Because we see a lot of people being influenced either positively or negatively, in the sense that you see that and you, yes, sympathize with them, but sometimes life gets to you and, you know, you find yourself in their situation, or there are others who completely do not want anything to do with what they've seen. So how did that impact you as a person and as a student today?
So personally, as I was observing that, I got to know that these drugs are very dangerous and we should keep away from them. But my worry is, no, some people can leave high school when they are very humble and good, but surprisingly when they get to campus, you get them taking those drugs. So I'm just worried. I'm eager to know how you can avoid this such things, because you think, you know, at university someone is a grown-up, he's an adult now, he knows what he should do, but again he ends up doing the same thing. Well, some resisted
the temptation,
peer pressure in high school.
Yeah.
Then how does it now come about? Yes.
Very valid question. I hear you, and Nkatha will and Diego or Prof could also answer that. But thank you so much for sharing. All right. Do you have someone else? Oh yeah, there you are. Okay. So start with your name and then tell us, who do you know?
Thank you so much for giving for the chance. My name is Fidel Castro. I'm then in charge of academics in Zitec University, and I have a friend who has been affected by drugs. To be specific, bang. Whereby the peer pressure between the teenager.
All right. No. Yeah, we can still hear you. Go ahead. All right. One sec, let's just sort your mic and then we'll come back to you. Nkatha or Diego, do you want to answer what he asked? That there's that pressure, you know, you resisted peer pressure in high school, but then when you get to the university, there's that freedom, you know, to do what you want. So he's a bit worried because he is, you know, in campus now.
I'll encourage you to stand your ground. Substance and drug use will only lead to something worse. So ignore the jeers, ignore the isolation, because you may or will be isolated because of not hanging out with the cool kids or cool crowd that uses these substances. Just stand your ground. I'll tell you, when you get into dependence and addiction, you will lose many years. It's not worth it. And as recovery coaches, we really encourage you to avoid that, avoid the pitfalls, because we've been there. And there's a lot of gaps in your career. You may not finish school, so stand your ground. You came here as an individual. You came here to pursue your goals. Hang on to also the dreams. Do you even know what our dreams are? Because some people are just doing life. But if you have a dream, you can be able to say nothing is going to come in between me and my dream, including friendships or influences that may interfere with where I want to go. That's what I would really encourage you. Look at it positively, and don't mind walking alone, because the consequences are dire.
I see that. And Diego, before you share your story, can we listen to him and then we'll come to you? Okay. All right, go ahead. Do we have the mic, Jackso? Yes, we have the mic. All right, go ahead.
He will use the drugs as a way of, or like as food, because the notion he had from the senior comrades that if you take drugs, you get high, you sleep, you skip some meals. So as per him, we saw that the best thing to take is the bang. He takes it in the morning, lunchtime, and supper. And this made him or affected his health system, whereby he can't walk, he will shake, and just sleep. And also, like the reactions or activities in the campus also reduces academic-wise. And I saw and I interacted with him and gave him some advice to go and look for the peer counselor. And because these drugs will affect you and to the entire life. So I'm happy that he got the advice.
Oh, good.
And he took the medications, and right now he's on the rehab process, and he's doing great, and I thank God.
Oh, that's fantastic. That's fantastic. Really, really good to hear that. All right. And we'll also open the floor for questions. Or you want to say something? All right. Go ahead. Let's pass on the mic to her. And then Diego will come to you, because I can see your time is far much spent and we need to hear the rest of your story in terms of, yes, you were introduced to this and, here you are today. You went through it, in recovery. Okay. All right. But please start with your name. Good morning.
My name is Asha Rajab. I'm a recovery coach. I'm a GBV champion.
All right.
I'm a counselor.
All right. Speak closer to your mic. Closer. Yeah. Yes. Fantastic.
I'm Asha Rajab.
Yes.
I'm a GBV champion. I'm a counselor. I'm a mom, and I'm a recovery coach, and I'm 7 years sober.
Oh, nice. Yeah.
So for me, it was not all about peer pressure or influence. It's like there was a situation that I went through that led me to engage into drugs, of which, if time would come back, my dream was to be a cabin crew. But you see, because I involved myself because of this situation, it took me too long to come out of it.
Yeah.
It's now about 7 years down the line. My age cannot allow me to pursue my dreams, but still I'm here. I educate these young girls, young women who have undergone the same. What I'd like to tell the university students, addiction is a disease. Addiction is a disease.
It's a disease, yes.
And once you've tried, you've started, it's not easy to come out of it. It took me too long to realize myself, because I was using Rohypnol. Yeah.
Wow.
I was using Rohypnol. And as you can see, I'm a single mom. I lost my spouse when I have gave birth. He was engaging into crime. He didn't have anything to do. So he had to do that so that he can feed us.
For the family.
So after he was murdered,
I'm sorry.
I felt like my dream was shattered, because I was a housewife. I was doing nothing at all. But I've gone to school. I've finished my Form 4 2011. And you can see it's almost 14 years down the line. I gave birth to my kid, a daughter, 13 years ago. So you see, the pressure I was in, I had to raise my daughter. I had to do this so that I could bring something for her. Because there are some things you cannot do when you are sober. Let me tell you, you don't do these things if you are in a happy mood or in a mood that you feel, I want to use this for pleasure. I was not using it for pleasure. I was doing this so that I can bring something for my kids and to raise my kid and to pay the bills. But now, the way I interact with the graceful team from Qatar, and I engage other people who went through the same, and we shared our stories. And I decided I'll come out. I'll not be discriminated. I'll not feel ashamed. I'll stand strong and boldly and talk about this. Because I know there are other young women out there, young fathers, my brothers, my sisters, and the people from my community who are undergoing the same. But they feel that if I speak out, people will start talking about, hey, she's been... Me, I don't care about that. Me, I just want to give young people hope and to tell them that you can come out of this. Please, my brothers and sisters in the university, don't try to engage yourself into drugs and substance abuse. To come out of it, it will not be easy. As you can see, where I was brought up, there are no rehabs, and to speak the truth of the matter, to pay a rehab is not easy. It's not, It's costly. Will you pay the rehab? Will you buy food? Will you pay the bills? Now you see, I can urge you, at least don't engage yourself in any drug and substance abuse. As for me, I can stand here and say, I'm a proudly recovery coach, and I can go to schools and do mentorship programs, and I advise these young girls and boys. As you can see, I'm 30 years old. I'm 32. I'm 31. I'm 31.
Great.
I'm 31
you
years.
Look fantastic.
She doesn't look good.
You look
I'm 31
fantastic.
years. But what I've been through, at least I could have gone, at least if I was 40 years, but not at 20 or 19. So, my dear, crime does not pay. Don't engage yourselves into drug and substance abuse, and you'll conquer. Because addiction is a disease. And you know, rehab is expensive. Let me tell you. And you have to know that it will affect the low class, the middle class, and the upper class.
I see.
Thank you very much.
I see that. Thank you so much. Wow. Thank you so much. You want to say something?
Okay. Because I think very encouraging. There's one fact I would want to bring to the attention of the students, and it's scientific, that the human brain continues developing until age 25. Before age 25, your brain is still growing and developing. So anything which happens before then would really affect you. So you can imagine at 18, 19, 20, and you are taking the drugs. This is something which is going to affect you, for the rest of your life. So the only way is prevention. Prevention is better than cure. You have heard her talk about rehabilitation. She's in the rehabilitation field. Very expensive. And even after you get rehabilitated, you still have the relapse challenges and so on. That's why you can hear somebody say, now I'm 5 years sober, 10 years sober. Even when you are 20 years sober, the challenge is still there. So, it's a lifetime thing.
I see that. Thank you, Prof. And we'll also talk about then the number of rehabilitation centers, because again, we see more of privately owned rehabilitation centers. So we'll also want to understand. So, Gava, because like you said, it's not expensive, right? What is being done? Is there anything that is in the works in terms of ensuring that we have enough rehabilitation centers? Diego, we need to go on a break, but can you just say in 1 minute, because I know you wanted to answer him. Okay,
I wanted to answer his question. What's your name again? Ouko.
Yes.
Ouko, let me tell you this, out of experience. as you can see me, I've never taken alcohol. Do you know why? Because I knew the outcome. I've been seeing people who have been drinking and doing a lot of shameless things without knowing that they are doing it. Had I to be aware that if I use this drug, this and this will be the cause, I wouldn't have done it. So I think people have to be taught from lower level classes, school, whatever, about the awareness of how to conquer the situation. I think awareness has to be spread a lot, and that's, I think, it's your job, mister.
I see that. And I like what you're saying, Diego, that you've never tasted alcohol.
I've never tasted alcohol, imagine.
Ever. But then again, you're affected in this other end.
Yeah,
right?
A lot of drugs, which I can't even mention.
And you know, we see that a lot. And even in you know, campuses, and even, you know, young people around us, they'll tell you, I'd rather not take alcohol, like, you know, or I'd rather not take cigarette, like the traditional cigarra, but I'd rather do vape, because vape is better than, you know. So there's always that substitution, you know, the impact of the same. So Kata and Prof will also, you know, handle that after, in terms of I'd rather take this than this, and then we do not consider whatever we're taking as drug or you know, substance, but yet it continues to affect so many young people. So then what do we do? But I did not finish actually reading that comment. The person who said, wow, I like this question, fallacies about alcohol, that it's a stress remover. Ukiwa na stress, kunywa pombe. But the truth is that alcohol only makes you to forget the problem, and then procrastination of the things. For instance, your child has been sent to fetch school fees. Because you want to avoid it, you will take alcohol and forget about the issue, but you will not have solved it. Pombe ikiisha in your system, you start from square zero. They continue to say, so the money you used in purchasing alcohol, you could have actually saved little by little. You will solve the fees, stress, and not alcohol. So, mtu say somebody drinking because of stress. That is the bottom line. Thank you so much for that, and keep sending it on our way. And that is at NTV Kenya, both on Facebook and on X. What is that one myth that you've heard about drug or alcohol use, and what is the reality behind it now? All right, we'll be looking at more of your feedback, and also engage a university student leader from ZTech University, as well as the counselor still from university, ZTech University. Okay, so they'll join us on the panel, and we'll see you after the short break. Do stay with us.
Shilingi 1,000. Toka kwa hiyo sanduku. Stoki. Rudisha hiyo pesa kwa sanduku namba 10.
Ongeza ifike 50.
Kwa nini? Anataka ukule popcorn ukitizama runinga, sawa? 100,000 Kenya shillings. Inch TV. Smart 1,000 Kenya shillings. Yes!
The most crucial skills for the digital inclusion in Africa will be number 1, cybersecurity, right? Cloud computing, AI, and data analytics. As business and governments accelerate into digital adoption, protecting data and systems will be non-negotiable. And that's why bridging these skills gaps by offering hands-on training solutions in cybersecurity fundamentals, ethical hacking, name them, they empower these professionals and also build resilience in digital infrastructures.
Machi 7 tunasherekea wanawake, tunapiga hatua kwa udhabiti na nguvu. Chini ya anga angavu, tunaanza safari ya kusherekea wanawake wanaoongoza njia. Tunawakaribisha wanawake wote Muthaiga Golf Club kwa uzoefu wa kipekee wa mchezo wa golf. Safari ya kusonga mbele imesalia nasi, tunapong'aa kwa mtindo wa kifahari na uzuri wa kipekee. Huu ni mwendo wetu, huu ni wakati wetu. Heri ya wanawake duniani.
There are ways that you haven't changed. I can still tell when you're lying, like when you were a little girl. What are you hiding from me, dear?
Dario and Di are in love.
Did you hear that?
Did you leave him seeing stars?
The entire Milky Way, sweetheart.
I'm not a child anymore. I'm 18 and I am old enough.
Even so, this guy's much older than you.
It doesn't matter. That's an issue between me and Dario.
You are the one.
Sensodyne gives you long-lasting protections against sensitivity. And people come in and they're like, oh, it works. I can have ice cream and I'm not in any discomfort. I recommend Sensodyne because it works. It's brilliant.
The Bundesliga has entered a crucial week as the top two clubs in Germany prepare for a heavyweight showdown. All eyes will be on the Bay Arena on Saturday when defending champions Bayer Leverkusen host Germany's most successful club, Bayern Munich. And a win for either side could have huge ramifications for the destination of the Bundesliga title.
Just a payslip. Get a mobile loan of up to 500,000 shillings or an unsecured loan of up to 9 million shillings. Visit a Cooperative Bank branch today. Cooperative Bank. We are you.
Hustle is survival.
When a love once lost.
Catch these exciting shows only on Maisha Magic Plus on DSTV channel 163 and GoTV channel 3.
All right, welcome back. We are in the last hour of the show. That is Your World, and we're coming to you from Zetech University, Ruiru campus. The conversation today is on drugs and substance use and abuse, and the focus of the conversation, we're looking at the status among campus students because recently NACADA released a report that actually highlighted what is happening in our universities as far as drug and substance use is concerned, and they said at least 45.6% of the students reported having used at least, one drug in their lifetime. And we have Professor with us today to really help us understand, the extent of the study, yes, and also some of the available opportunities to really curb the menace. And that is Professor John Muteti, who's the Director of Research for NACADA. Now, we are joined by Ferdinand Awonda, who's the President, Zetech University Student Association. Good to have you. And we also have Wilkista Juma, who's a counseling psychologist from Zetech University. And Wilkis, I'm just going to start with you. Hey, we have seen and what the report, says and highlights and, So can we just talk about the extent of the situation and especially in campuses, some of the factors that contribute, to drug and substance abuse based on what you've seen having interacted with the students?
Okay, thank you. I would say that the research that was done has facts, and the facts are real.
Yeah.
This is an issue that is affecting students, not only university students.
All right.
But I think it starts from even primary level. Yeah, I've had students who confess that they started using maybe cannabis or alcohol.
All right.
As early as class 6, grade 6, grade 7 there, grade 5.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, so it starts very, very early. And Prof mentioned about our habits at home.
Yes.
As parents, we say that we are going out with our families, so we take them to clubs. So the children learn from very early that having fun is drinking.
Yeah.
So,
and if you're not drinking, you're not cool.
You're not
and they
cool.
do not want to hang out with you.
Yeah, so a mother, father will take the whole family to a club. And these clubs have invented ways of inviting families over. So we have that place at the club where they put swings, they put slides for kids. So mom and dad are drinking here, smoking, and then the kids are playing there. But kids learn by observing. Yeah, what mommy does, what daddy does is the best.
Yes.
Yeah, so
and you can't tell them no because you're doing it and they see you doing it.
And it's fun time.
Yes.
You know, weekends are times for having fun. So, and what is fun is drinking and smoking and taking all the drugs. Then this student moves to high school. Then they find children who've come to high school, and they're different. They come, you see, high school represents different homes. Yeah, you find these students are coming from dysfunctional homes, children coming from families that are fighting. That mama who is brewing, the child is going to Form 1. And the children there, they've tested. They go to school and tell the others that, you know, when you drink kidogo, you feel good.
Yeah.
Yes. The peddler, when you're peddling, you will have children at one point. So the peddler's child sneaks in some of the products. Kidogo takes the marijuana and smokes. And takes some to school. So in school, most of the students who come to university, and they tested, they learned it from home or from the neighbor. You know, you can take care of your child, but you can't take care of the whole community. Yeah.
Okay.
They still get that influence.
All
so
right.
It's coming from our own homes. That's where it's starting from. From high school, primary, or all the way.
All the way. Yes. And Prof, we'll come back to understand. Remember that whole aspect about substitution and, you know, I'd rather take this than this. We'll talk more on that. And also, you know, what Wilkesa has mentioned, that a parent, say who brews, right? It's a way of earning money. It's a source of income, right? So as Nakada, is this a factor, you know, when it comes to then addressing this menace, and that is drug and substance abuse? So we'll come back to you in a sec, but let's speak to our student leader. As a leader, what is it that you've observed? What are the trends, you know, as far as the students and, you know, their access to drugs and alcohol and other substances of abuse or use?
Okay, thank you so much, Winnie, for this opportunity. What I can say about this particular topic you are having, because the report from Nakada is really alarming, and most especially right now when students want to join campus in September, and when they hear about Thika Road campuses, wanafikiria sherehe. Yeah, when they hear about Thika Road campuses, they think of sherehe. So one thing I know that in our early ages, in our 20s, we always assume this issue. But one thing I can say is drug and drunk addicts, they make bad fathers and bad mothers. What are the causes of these drugs and substance abuse? Peer pressure, pressure from individuals, colleagues. Another thing is about curiosity and experimentation. Like, you find someone, he never used drugs before, he comes to campus, the friends are using drugs, so that it comes from curiosity. I want to try this thing. I want to experiment it. And from that, you find that he or she gets indulged in this kind of addiction and every other thing else. And another thing is about peer pressure. The pressure from your peers. A village girl or a village boy from, let me say,
So says Kenyeji. Kenyeji amefika town.
So amefika town, he finds friends and they're like, how to me? You don't use this? And he's like, he feels that sense of isolation. So he wants to fit into that space by trying to adjust by taking the drugs. So peer pressure is an issue. And also another thing, from my own perspective, but I also want to thank Zitech University because we always engage the parents through conducting annual stakeholders meeting, whereby we engage the parents so that we can come together and discuss some of these issues, especially drug and substance abuse. Parental responsibility. You find that when someone comes to campus, it is the first time these people are going to live alone. They have never lived alone. So that absence of the parents and the restrictions, don't do this, don't do that, it's not there. So you find that they find that freedom of doing whatever they want. Yeah,
yes.
sure.
All right. We'll come back then to understand. Do you hold like forums and have like open conversations with, you know, some of the students, not even some of all the students, really, and get to understand what the real issues are? And because they know who influences them. They know Ule Bedi. They know all those things. So do you have like such forums to talk openly about it? And also we'll talk about the policies in a sec. But let me indulge Prof in a moment, and then I'll come back to Diego. Diego Amenda. Oh, okay, I see you. All right. So Prof, because we've talked about this over and over and over again. NACADA has released reports after reports after reports. But what is the biggest challenge? Why in 2025 do we still talk about the menace and how deep-rooted it is? And now, not only, you know, at homes or in our communities, but also in campuses.
Yeah, you know, this is a challenge, and I think the problem is the challenge of implementation, because you know, and also the public education going out there. How effective is it? Because sometimes we can talk and talk, but is the message getting through? Who are the people who are getting involved? You know, I'm happy ZTech, you know... I did not
see ZTech actually in the...
Yeah, this is a sample. The study took, it was sampled. You know, we are not doing a census. We are doing a survey where we do sampling. So we had the universities which are private and the universities which are public. So we do a sampling, a 30% sampling. So, but of course, because this is a continuing thing, obviously we will involve now universities like ZTech. And what I was saying is that I'm happy that the management is taking that action, because very few universities would really call parents and talk to them about issues like drug abuse and things like that. The moment they call them and they have a candid conversation with the kids, with the students, I'm sure it's going to have some impact. So that is one thing which actually is very important, and even in our recommendations, we are saying that parents, don't run away from your responsibilities. These are still your kids. You cannot say that because these kids are over 18, you have no role in terms of guidance and everything and so on and so forth. And another issue is the problem is still continuing, because we had to have guidance and counseling departments which are strong. Most of the universities, most of the institutions have only one person or two people. What can two people do in an institution with thousands of students? So we need to strengthen these guidance and counseling departments. You know, the office of the dean of students need to be strengthened, and also within the universities themselves, we have the student leaders, we have the peer counselors. These peer counselors, you know, whom the students will feel comfortable with, need to be trained so that they can, because they're the ones who are interacting with these students, so that they can be talking to them. And I think that way we can really save a big chunk of our students.
And I see that, and well, Kista will tell us. So then, in what ways do you feel, as you know, the guidance and counseling department, you need to be strengthened? You know, because again, yes, I know numbers is an issue, but also in what other ways, right? But let's speak to Diego, and then we'll open the floor, because you also mentioned that you are, you know, in recovery as well. We'll also want to hear from you. But Diego, so how long, you know, were you... Okay, yeah, there you are.
Yes,
all right. So to finish up, because you are initiated, you were told, yeah, no, I'm not going to show you how, but I'll give you something that will help you to be better and do better. And I want to believe you are better.
Yes,
but you're the best for a while, and then
I'm living now my best.
Yes, right. So then, at what point did you start, you know, getting affected by it, whether you know it's addiction or dependence on the drugs?
It came to a point whereby I started to forget things. I was living in a denial. So when I realized that, this is not me no more. I speak this, I do this, have a program like this, I jump it. So one day, a friend of mine told me, I think we had planned about this and this. And I was like, really? Did you really talk to me yesterday? That, yeah, I can see you're not drunk if you're not smelling alcohol. But he didn't know that I was using something which doesn't bring out scent. That's when I realized that it has really affected me.
Okay.
And I came out, I told him, I think I said, but it's now worse. When I went to the preliminary trials, I failed. They saw my blood has some substance which is not recognized. And they asked
Which is
me,
not recognized?
Yeah.
Wow.
It wasn't recognized.
Yeah.
After doing second lab test, they told me, are you using drugs? I was like, no. I don't drink alcohol. They told me, yes, you're using this and this and this. The lab has declared it. That's when the sponsorship was dropped off.
Oh,
I was cut off from the system. And I went from something to nothing. I went from hero to shameless guy. It really hated me a lot. Imagine from where I was. I was at my peak. I was heading to Olympics.
Wow.
But everything was shuttered down. I didn't even go back home.
Okay.
Because I was ashamed. When I came from there, I joined other friends. I stayed with them, starting to hide myself. It took me a year without no one of my family knowing where I was. I was living just friends, doing drugs like that, peddling slowly. Until one day, I went to a church. Just in the morning like this. Do you know what took me there? It was hunger.
Wow.
I went there hoping to beg so that I can be helped to get something to eat. But when they talked to me, there was a counsel there. He realized something in me. And he asked me, how did you get here?
Yeah.
I tried to narrate myself. I told him everything I've gone through. He told me, you don't need only church, but you need guidance from people. You need to speak to, you need to open up. And without opening up, you can't heal. And that's what I'm trying to tell these young fellas. There are things which you can't tell your parents, I know. But you can tell a friend.
Yes.
And there are some people you can talk to. Not only your family members, but other guidance. Open up.
Okay.
Don't live in a denial thinking that you're better off, yet you're going from bad to worse. That's what I can tell them.
Thank you very much, Diego, for sharing that. Really, really serious hope and release. Okay, I'm going to open the floor. Anyone who has a question to any of the panel members here today, Nkata, Diego, anyone who has a question? All right, I can see there's a hand here. Diego, there's a hand here just in front of you. And then, all right, we have there the mic. Anyone who has another question, let's pass on the mic to them. All right.
Morning, everyone.
Good morning.
I'm David Mwangi. I'm a recovery coach. I'm a counselor and a recovering addict. Winnie, you asked a question. Do you know someone that you have, or have you lost someone who uses substance? For my case, I've lost all my friends
I'm sorry.
that I was using the substance with.
Yeah.
I won't go much into details of what it was, but as per now, I work as a community person. I work close to Ngatha. We help people that are addicted. We help people that are in drugs. And to start with, I would say, this is a very good report, but shows that there is a lot that needs to be done because the numbers here are increasing. They are not decreasing.
Yeah.
It means that the knowledge that we had back then, right now, it's not the knowledge that we have
right now.
People are very much exposed. And I would say through the social media, through the, as you said, Mr. President, mtu ametoka Bungoma, you are straight from here, you know nothing, you are very green, and then you are taught the town. Kuja tukuonyeshe town. But there are also routines that are there. When you work from Monday to Thursday, when it comes to Friday, what rings in your mind?
Sherehe.
Weekend. So there are those habits that you start.
Yeah.
So for my case, you either start with experimenting, you start socially with the group of people you work with, the group of people you are related. A lot of people have heard talking about peer pressure. No, not only that. I started with experimenting. Nobody taught me what to use.
Yeah, I see.
But the last moment I injected myself, I got an OD. I got an overdose. But I didn't die. So that's the reason I'm here saying that do not get into this addiction. Do not get into these drugs. Try as much as possible to stay away from them. Not that I'm a hero. No. It is by the grace of God. It is by the grace of God that I'm here.
I see that.
So to all the students here, tafadhali, curiosity killed the cat. That's a very deep thing. Go and read it and read it and reread it. Curiosity killed the cat. It will kill your dreams. I am a ZTech alumni from Summit.
Okay.
Wala wanajua Summit, 2012. Yeah, I like reading and I studying. So I did a course there on IT. And right now, the IT I don't apply.
Yeah, now you found a different calling.
My love is in the field of recovery and addiction.
I see.
Because I lose people on daily basis. People come begging for me. There are substances that you can use. Like whatever I used, I went for treatment for 1 year and 8 months. Every single day, Monday to Sunday. So you dedicate your time, you waste your whole, it's a process.
Yeah.
So before you start it, think, can you handle it?
Okay. And
Now,
we know the handling part is not easy. Like you said, the recovery process takes long and it's not fun.
It's very cumbersome.
Yeah.
It's very expensive and it's very costly when it comes to the people you relate with. Even after recovery, people have a question with you. They still ask, Jamaa ako sawa. I am 6 years now.
Oh, yeah.
But I might be thinking of something in a deep way, and then you come look at me and you ask, uko sawa bado ama zimeshika?
Or that temptation. I mean, do you have sometimes where friends say, like 6 years away, say, si uko sawa, si twende tu sherehe, you know, si uko sawa, you know? Like, do you have such instances?
No, I don't have such thing because after the program that I went through, it is a government offered, medically assisted.
Oh, nice. Okay.
After the treatment, there is something you are taught called cognitive behavior therapy. So there are those things that triggers that you see and then they water your mouth. You feel like I need... So there is that cognitive behavior therapy that you input in yourself, and then there is this thing called self-discipline. You cannot go anywhere without self-discipline.
I see.
Nowadays, you see people entering, you're told, put on official. But our children nowadays, official are different.
Because if you wear, they're like, wear. Yeah.
Yes. Okay. So there is that aspect of discipline and knowing your value.
All right.
Another thing that I forgot is accepting that you have a problem.
Okay.
The reason why people sink in addiction, the reason why people go into depression is because they don't accept the situations they have. They don't accept that, yes, I'm into this. And I would see, kwa prof on the report here, there is a recommendation about what to do. I'm a student, example. I'm staying nearby here. I'm plot yangu imeenda 5th floor. Lakini before I get in the gate, what is next to me is a liquor and...
Yes.
You can finish. So before I get inside, there is something I'm seeing. That's a trigger already. So when I'm walking down and I'm coming for maybe an exam, I have the fear of the exam. So to relieve myself,
you go into...
And then it grows continuously as a habit.
Yeah.
As a habit.
Okay.
So that a question to Prof. For such a student, I'm thinking, what do you do about such a person? They are mature, they are over 18, you cannot control themselves.
Yeah.
You've talking on social media, you've talked on materials that will be spread, to spare, like the one I'm holding here, I see materials. But what is it to be done there? Because you said majority of the students in the report that are using drugs are outside the campus, not inside the campus. So it means outside lies the bigger problem than the inside.
All right.
Another thing you said, in the public university, there is a higher rate than the private. The public has a 60%, the private has a 38%. Does it mean that in the public one, there are no, there are no those, what can I say? Those, like the counseling department that facilitate these students and make them understand or make them aware of substance and drug abuse.
I see that. Very good question. Can we go on a break and then you answer that, Prof? Because I do not want to rush it. 30 seconds, 10 seconds. But we'll still also talk more in terms of then what needs to be done, because a lot has been done. We've made progress as a country as far as, you know, dealing with drug and substance use and abuse. But then what are the gaps and what are the existing opportunities? We'll be looking at that after the break. Do stay with us. The show is Your World. I'll also come back with more of your feedback. So see you after the short break.
Now get Showmax Premier League Mobile plus 3 gigs of data for only 450 shillings. Just dial *544*37#. Only with Showmax and Safaricom. T's and C's apply.
Ninakupenda by St. Raphael Benedicta. Dial *811*925#.
Skiza, Nan Nation. I want my brother completely out of the family business.
Liam is the best fit for the company.
I think ini through personal mametupatia.
Liam, ayuko. Wacha kelele hapa, utamsha madam.
All this is because of you. Now wake up. Wake up and clear your mess.
Looking for some mehe faster than you can say spill the tea? Well, I've got you covered.
Con Entertainment, you know, we already got the vibe. So I got the beat, my moves ni kwako.
Join us for Chocha where the games are wild. Kiss my dumb, right? Gachagua, Kindiki, Sakaja. And of course, kama kuna story inspiring ama ngoma noma, send in tutakuwakilisha kama kawa kama dawa. Catch Beats and Buzz only on NTV. Because it's gonna be mad and crazy.
For fast relief of strong pain, like headache, toothache, and muscle pain. And I am finally released from pain and ready to be there for those who need me. Try Panadol Extra for fast and effective relief from strong pain.
Hustle is survival.
When a love once lost.
Catch these exciting shows only on Maisha Magic Plus on DSTV channel 163 and GoTV channel 3.
All right, welcome back in the last few minutes of the show, and that is Your World. Today on drug and substance use and abuse, and we're looking at the status of the campus students as far as access and also usage of drug and substance use. And the question that we're asking you today is very simple, and that is, what misconception did you have as far as alcohol and drug abuse or use is concerned, and what is the reality behind you and behind it? And well, a lot of you have a lot to say. Just something during the break. So Francis Ribon says that alcohol gives you confidence after some few bottles. The reality is you lose your dignity and spit out unworthy words that you regret after getting sober. This is professor, lakini the way the professor, where says an alcoholic never lies. And we hear this almost all the time. Mlevi is danganya. And then Peter Ayabe also says the same, that all drunkards are honest. And then Fam M. Joseph says alcohol is the main cause of poverty for drunkards. And then someone else here says... this is Crispin Okumu, who says smoking bangi has devastating effects on the user. It destroys your brain and leads to mental illness. And then someone else says ati mwenye anakunywa alcohol sio rahisi kuwa mgonjwa. We hear that a lot. Huwezi kuwa mgonjwa. You know, that's a bit that they've had. And then is this Ido Mike, who says ati kakwata ni dawa ya homa. We have had that a lot, you know. They tell you, hey, kunywa homa itaisha, and all those things. And then this is Muyale Zitlibeso Libi says, mlevi hakosi mangondo, mlevi hakosi pesa. That's why they usually have some, you know, to buy alcohol constantly. That is a myth that they've had. And then Wanjala Justice says it does not add anything good in the body. So many of you have a lot to say as far as the question. But Prof, there was a question for you before we went on a break, and that is the disparity between the numbers. Public versus
thank you.
Private universities.
Actually, the fact of the matter is that we found more of this problem with the private universities, contrary to what we thought. Of course, when you look at the 30-60, it is the sampling, the weights. We sampled more of the public universities because there are many. You know, and therefore the numbers we interviewed more were from the public universities. But when it came to the percentages, who is using what, we found that the private universities are actually more prone, students are more prone to using drugs of substances of abuse. So that is the scenario. And we were thinking, as we went into this study, we were thinking most of these private universities are, you know, religious based, you know, and all that. But we found that with all that, the students there are more prone to using the water. So it doesn't. But of course, there are other factors which may be considered. What kind of drug are they using? You know, some universities I may not mention are using the more expensive synthetic, the new psychoactive, you know, substances which are more expensive. Actually penetrating, you know the ones which are being made in the labs and so on, as opposed to some maybe in the public universities and elsewhere who are using muguka, or, you know, these other kinds of things. So this is what we found out. We also found out that contrary to what we thought, that this is a male affair, you know, addiction is a male affair. But we found that it is not. The ladies are at par. They are actually competing very, very effectively, very closely with the men, with the hardly 1 or 2% difference. Yeah. And actually, they are doing far much better, you know, in quotes, than men when we come to things like shisha. The more ladies are smoking shisha as opposed to the men. And yet, when you look at shisha, where we think that it is a safe drug, because they start me that, oh, it's not even smoking, shisha is just there. We did a study some time back and found out that most of the joints selling shisha are lacing the shisha with either heroin or marijuana. And they are doing this because they want to hook They want this, the people taking it to get hooked. So that when you experience that eye, you say, oh, that joint, it's that shisha, that place has got very nice shisha. But it's not nice shisha. It is that is laced there which is giving you that eye, and then tomorrow you will go there because that is the, and before you know it, you are already hooked. You know, this is some of the things they use. And somebody talked about rehabs, and I think maybe I would want to, and Nkala is here because she's in that field of rehabs. We don't have enough rehabs. Actually, we don't have enough rehabs. Most of the rehabs we have are private.
Yes.
And the public rehabs are hardly 10 throughout the country. And therefore, we will find that most of the people will go to the private rehabs, and obviously private will be expensive.
More expensive.
Private will be expensive. And we are now asking the county governments, because this issue of rehabilitations and drug control has now been devolved. Although the national government is doing policy and coordination, but this is already devolved. And people are paying licenses for their pubs and so on. You are the ones making the damage. You pay for it. The pubs and the people in the alcoholic industry and the players are the ones who are supposed to be paying for this, so that people go to rehab. The people who get damaged go to rehab. The research is done in this area. Public education is given to these people. Civil society gets involved to tell the people what is happening. And but we've, contrary to that, we find that most of these, I'm not, accusing the county governments, but I'm saying the money which is being collected from liquor outlets goes to things like salaries and other things. Instead of going to fight this problem, which is
building more
caused.
rehabilitation centers. I see that, Prof. But also there's that question of, remember, there's the policy in terms of how far a liquor store should be from schools. But we see even in our neighborhoods, there's a school there, but literally 5 meters there's a liquor store and all.
That's right. It's a challenge.
So what needs to be done?
In law, we have a law we call ADCA, which is the Alcoholic Drink Control Act. And with that law, which was, which came into effect in around 2010, it is illegal to have alcohol selling outlet within 300 meters of a basic education institution. Now, a basic education institution is an institution which is a primary school, secondary school. Beyond that, it's not basic. And therefore, that law doesn't affect the universities. So a liquor outlet can just set out next door and you cannot do anything about it. And therefore now, unless we now amend that law, and we are seriously thinking, should we amend this law so that the 300-meter rule even applies to institutions of Ireland? But of course now it comes to the challenge. These are people who are 18 years old. These are people who are allowed by law to even take the drink. Or do we make the age of legal drinking to 21? These are conversations.
Or 35 maybe at this point.
These are conversations which must. But again, you are saying we make it 21, then the constitution also comes into effect. If I can vote at 18, you are telling me I cannot, if I can stand for office at 18, you are telling me I cannot these are the things now to talk about and to agree on, because we really must agree on these things so that, we can. But we are coming up with a national policy, which is now quite in a draft form and also advancing. And then in that policy, we will address most of these things so that, we are in agreement. But the bottom line is that we really need to do something as a country, and we need to save our youth. Because if we don't, then we are doomed.
I see that. And Wilkista, before I speak to you, let me speak to a Senate leader. Clearly, this thing is happening. in as much as hata kama tukiuliza who is indulging, nobody wants to raise their hand. You know, hata mimi, I wouldn't, you know. When I was in campus youth, I'll be like, what is that, Kwanzaa? I don't understand. But the reality is a lot more people are indulging. A lot more people are being affected, you know, by drugs and substance use and abuse. We know we know these ladies, and we know these joints where we usually go to, you know, as students. So then from where you sit, what is it that needs to be done? Because there's, you know, institutions have counseling departments, others maybe do not have, and there's that, you know, thing of the law, I'm 18, I can do whatever I want, right? But from where you sit, what is it that we need to do more so that we do not lose more and more students to alcoholism or, you know, to drug use and abuse?
Okay, so speaking of what is supposed to be done, I want to start with what we in Zetech University do so that we can at least engage our students and promote awareness of the same. In collaboration, the Student Association in collaboration with the Office of the Dean of Student Affairs and the Counseling Department, we always involve our students through events. For example, a prof spoke about women and ladies competing with men, and the percentage
it's more or less the same. It's more or less the same. Yeah.
We are on 27th of this month. We'll be having Bold Queens, that is ladies empowerment forum, and one of the agenda that we are going to discuss is about drugs and substance abuse. On 13th of this month, we had the men's conference just a day before the Valentine's, and our declaration as men was avoid drugs, because addiction is the worst prison you can ever be in.
Yeah.
And another thing that we always do is we always engage our student in purpose culture training, so that those who have lost hope, because one of the reasons is you find someone getting into drugs because he does not see the future, things are messing up, so the only option or maybe solution someone has is relieving that stress and anxiety and every other thing else. So we organize purpose culture training for them so that they identify their purpose. And when you want to achieve your goals and objectives, especially in the job market, you have to leave drugs, because it will cause you social problems, relationship problems. You'll lose your job because you'll come to workplace
and even
drunk.
lose yourself.
Yeah, so in this institution, our core values of promoting professionalism and excellence, we train our students to be good people outside there, not to take drugs, because yeah.
Okay, I see that, and I know I'm just going back to like many years ago where you know, the campaign, you know, as far as HIV and AIDS were concerned, you know, it was all about abstinence, you know, the ABCs, right? But then again, it got to a point where that did not work, you know, and you talk to someone about abstinence, they tell you, so you're talking about abstinence and onset size, the age is actually like 8, 9 or 10. So some things over time have evolved, and some of the things that we thought worked, you know, before then are not working anymore. So from where you sit, do we change then the approach in terms of how we talk about, you know, alcohol and drug use? Do we change policies? What do we need to do so that we at least reduce the numbers, if not curb the menace completely? But, you know, the goal is to curb the menace completely.
There's a lot that can be done. The awareness that we are creating now is a key. It's one of the most important things that every institution should do. Because once the consumers know about the effects, then we are safe.
All right.
Number 2 is still on awareness, making sure that even the community understands. Like, you know, the parents can stand up out there. Other people can stand up and say, you know, this is a university. You know, these are students. Don't sell this to students. So it's about awareness.
Okay.
The policies, yes, can be implemented and changed somehow.
Yeah.
And then we also encourage maybe having more professionals, like in institutions.
All right.
Because, like Prof mentioned about the number of students in institutions and the people who are serving versus the people.
Okay.
Because students need to be reminded every now and then, need to be trained, need to be made aware of the consequences of what is happening out there.
All right.
So this is something that we should do, all of us, the administration, because we find cases whereby the administration work with the pedis, the peddlers.
Unfortunately.
Unfortunately.
I mean, I even saw from the report, even in school canteens, these drugs are there.
They're there.
Right?
So we have enablers. When the administration, a peddler knows that if I go to this police station, there is this one person who will bail me out. Then in institutions, there are some institutions you'll find even staff, they're abusing the drug.
Yeah.
So how are they going to stop this young person from abusing? And they're also doing the same.
Yeah.
Because it is not a respect of age or status.
I see.
Yeah. Drugs
collective
are all
effort.
over.
I see that.
Yeah, you'll find them from the management level of institutions to the lowest. You find a high school teacher consuming alcohol to the level where they've gone to rehab, relapsed, gone to it again. So I think the measures that are being put there, understanding, awareness and all that, and also trying to know that there are other types. There's a recovering addict here who mentioned about, we are only talking about alcohol here, and people are coming up with even more tricky ways that you cannot detect.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So the pills, someone will consume the pills, you take them. They even have ways of escaping the tests that are done there.
Yes, I saw that. And I see that. So it needs to take like a holistic approach to it, and all hands are on board.
And the awareness.
I see you want to say something? Okay, all right. Yes, let's have Mike, and then we'll come back to you.
Winnie, for the question that you asked, I have two things that I can say.
All right.
First, being that the administration, the staff, they are not so close to the students, the parents are away, and the people whom these students are interacting with are their peers.
Yeah.
What if we think in this line? We do something in our institution, both public and private universities, we open up these clubs, peer-to-peer mentorship clubs,
programs,
whereby we have students who are maybe they can help other students, like because they interact with them more. That is just a recommendation that I'm bringing on board. And another thing is about involving the youths in this policy making process.
Okay.
If we involve the youths, we'll have the bigger view of what are they thinking about.
All right.
And also make them part of this process, because by the fact that if they are left out, it will cause more harm than good.
And they'll be like, okay.
Yeah.
And you know what? Since we are here, now we have the students here. So we also ask them, what is it that you want to see different? What is it that you want to see change? What is it that you want to see happen so that we curb this menace? All right. So who wants to go first? Okay, you want to? Oh, there's a hand behind. Okay, so and then you pass the mic to the person behind you. All right.
Thank you for the chance. What I can say on that is manner of communication, because communication is the key in this process. You find that the way you communicate an information to a Gen Z is so much different how to communicate to a millennial and the rest.
Millennials na Gen Z tuko hivi karibu. Anyway, I'm kidding. Go ahead.
But the manner of communication is the key. If you give a Gen Z to read the whole book,
chances are they won't.
The chances are very minimal that he'll read the whole part of this book. But if you give a millennial the book, he or she will take the time, go through the book, analyze it, and also get an information through it. But if you put the information on social media, or the TikTok, Instagram, the Gen Zs will take much of their time going through or scrolling. So for myself, I think communication is the key, and I would love the director to also put an emphasis on that.
I see.
Yeah, thank you.
Very good recommendation over there. All right. There's a hand on the back. Yes. Go ahead.
Okay.
Yes.
My name is Julius Odhiambo, a student of journalism, Zitec University. And I really like what's going on here, because this is a discussion that we always have as peers. To make it relevant, I was a peer counselor back in high school. But I think what I observed is that this thing is not too much rampant in campus like high school. You know, in high school, it was something that was not being addressed.
Okay.
And I think for us to mitigate or to fight this thing, we should start from the grassroots.
Okay. All right. We've lost that mic. Sorry, we've lost the mic. But Nkatha, you have... Okay, let's see if that one works.
Okay.
Fantastic.
So as I was saying, I think for us to fight this thing, we should start from the grassroots, from the origin. Because in the places we come from, or our houses, you see, children are not given that freedom of expression. You find that when a child wants to speak, he or she can be told that, don't speak where grown-ups are, you see? That this thing does not concern you, your opinion is invalidated, you see? And this thing also was carried to our high schools, whereby you want to speak out your mind, but you're not given that chance. If they find that you are misusing drugs, they'll only punish you, give you suspension, but they won't go to an extent of maybe helping you out, you see? I have friends who have gone through such kind of things, because back in high school, we are being told that for now, focus on your studies. Then when you go to campus, you're going to have the freedom, you're going to have the girls, you're going to have everything there, you see? So you find that someone will just be like, okay, let me get my grade here in high school. Then when I go to campus, I'll try out all these things. And that my question goes to the professor there, Nakada. I really like and admire what he's doing. But I remember back in high school and primary, Nakada used to come to our schools, and what they will do, they will show us pictures of people who have
very gory
who are addicted.
Yes.
And that's just what they did. They were not going an extent of even discovering if these students or pupils are undergoing drug abuse, if they are being affected. Then when they show us these pictures, we used to laugh. And after laughing, they just go without explaining further, you see?
Yeah.
And
so your question is, because I'm being told we need to go.
My question is,
yes.
What is Nakada really doing? Are they just there to mitigate or to rehabilitate those people who are suffering from drug abuse, or they have the responsibility to stop people from using this thing or to mitigate drug usage?
I see that. All right. And then Nkatha, you want to say something in like 30 seconds, and then Prof will close it for us?
Yes. So my name is Gideon, and mine will be very simple. So, for example, our president has said, kuna wale they call vienyeji. So, kienyeji akiweza kuja like in an institution like this one or any other institution, the first few events, most of the sponsors ni alcohol brands. So, huyu kienyeji akikuja, the first thing atakuwa familiarized with ni those alcohol brands. So, maybe a challenge to the Nakada people. You can maybe through you or organization that you are running ambayo iko in the county levels. Kukiona events, they do sponsor those events. Wanaweka tent yao pale hivyo. So, ule kienyeji akikuja, before apatane na alcohol brands, apatane na Nakada. So we prevent before mambo iumane.
Okay. Yes. Thank you. So, by the way, unasema ule kienyeji. Aya, Nkatha, 10 seconds.
Mine is to emphasize what everyone has said, that we need to focus on drug demand reduction. And you can hear the students are saying more awareness. It's very important. I also want to mention that the cases of femicide and a lot of these cases we've been hearing of, many people were under the influence of alcohol.
Yes.
So it's just a reminder that when you get intoxicated, you're using these drugs and substances, it may lead you into crime. It will lead you to institutions. And it could also eventually lead you to death. So that awareness is very key. And we encourage, Nakada and all these organizations, government, to take it a notch higher. We've seen the recommendations, they're great. We are here to work together with government. We're here to work together with institutions. The country is so huge. So train us, bring us on board, because there are so many people in recovery who've been trained and many who desire to be trained, so that we can be support in these institutions. Most people in recovery, they listen and they don't judge. And majority of the time, people feel judged when you have to speak to specific people in institutions, and we are here to help.
I see that. Thank you so much, Nkatha. Prof, you literally have 45 seconds.
Okay. Thank you. I've got very important, feedback here. Very, very important. And I think, Mr. President, I would want to invite you to NACADA, because there are some things now we must discuss. One, communication. How are we communicating? So that you can also tell us how to communicate to these youth.
Young people.
Because that way, I had somebody talking about TikTok, which we may be lacking that. Then, of course, there is the question of the involving of the youth as we make policy. We are just saying this should not be done, but is it really the right thing?
Yes.
So those are some of the things which I think we should be looking at. Now, orientation. As the youth, as the students come in, I think we do carry out some orientations, and I think most of the institutions ask us to, help them do that, and we are open to that. Not even to ZTEC, but every other institution, so that when these freshers come, we can talk to them and tell them the challenges which they are likely to face, the peer pressure and things like that. So that is one of the ways of doing it. But then, as we do that, the area of enforcement, somebody talked about this, and I'm sorry, I'm a government officer. But I will still talk very candidly.
Because
if this bank, these illicits are being sold in our community, where we have the Nyumba Kumi, where we have the assistant chief, where we have the chief, where we have the OCS and the police, and where we have all these people. I mean, what are we saying? Corruption. Obviously, if they know, you want to tell me that the assistant chief doesn't know the person selling the bank?
No.
So we must be open and talk in a very candid way and ask ourselves, how are we saying we don't know what is happening? And also the barons, they are so powerful. The drug barons, the ones who bring the heroin here. We have intelligence, NIS, everybody. You want to tell me nobody knows who's bringing the drug around here? It's a question we must ask ourselves, whether, and this is something somebody should talk
and speak
openly about.
All right, Prof. And guess what? The conversation continues online, and that is on our social media pages at NTV Kenya, both on Facebook and on X, and on our YouTube page as well, and that is at NTV Kenya. But for now, in the interest of time, allow us to say thank you. Thank you, Prof. Thank you, Wilkester. Thank you as well, our student leader, Nkatha, Diego, and everybody else who was part of this conversation this morning right here on Your World. Of course, it continues. It doesn't have to end here. And we'll see you tomorrow morning. That is on Trendy Thursday. And of course, it's all about comedy, the evolution of comedy and everything else that is happening there, okay? So we'll see you tomorrow, same time, same place. But for now, have yourselves a lovely day ahead. And God bless, and stay away from drugs, as they say. Goodbye for now.
There are ways that you haven't changed. I can still tell when you're lying, like when you were a little girl. What are you hiding from me, dear?
Dario and Di are in love.
Did you hear that?
Did you leave him seeing stars?
The entire Milky Way, sweetheart.
I'm not a child anymore. I'm 18 and I am old enough.
Even so, this guy's much older than you.
It doesn't matter. That's an issue between me and Dario.
You are the one.
Sensodyne gives you long-lasting protections against sensitivity. And people come in and they're like, oh, it works. I can have ice cream and I'm not in any discomfort. I recommend Sensodyne because it works. It's brilliant.
On the 7th
of March 2025, we embrace the theme of marching forward. Here we stand as symbols of progress. Together, we march with confidence and grace, showing the world that when women rise, everyone rises. As the sun dips below the horizon, we transition from the greens to the glamour of the evening. We are inviting you, all the lovely ladies, to please join us at the Muthaiga Golf Club for a very unique experience.
NTV, turning on your world. The following program has been rated PG. It may contain scenes unsuitable for